Hey folks, Multi here, and it is a quarter after 2 in the morning on May 24th, 2024. And today I'm finally going to start going through my game collection. We're going to have separate videos for each platform. So let's get started today, folks. This is my shelf that contains the 8th and 9th gen games. Starting at the very top, we have Xbox Series X and Xbox One games. Why are some of these out like this? Okay, I'll explain that later. I decided to do Xbox Series X and Xbox One the same video because, and there's actually three reasons behind that. So the first reason is that my Xbox Series X and Xbox One collection are small enough that they both only take up a single shelf together. This is all of them exactly, and it's exactly one shelf that they take up. So that's the first reason. The second reason is the similarities between the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X. I mean, when you actually turn on both of these consoles, the UI is pretty much exactly the same. These consoles have pretty much the same firmware as far as I'm concerned. As far as like the menus and stuff. Like you turn them both on, and you can't really tell the difference. There's really not much difference at all between these consoles. The Series X is literally just a powered up Xbox One X, which is just a powered up Xbox One. So, yeah, these consoles they're both built on the same architecture basically, and they have the same UI. The third and final reason is that the Xbox One and the Series X library, they share the same issue that makes them both these consoles together essentially my least favorite consoles to collect games for, as a collector personally. I mean, like, if you're just someone who just plays games and only cares about the games that you enjoy, then I think the Series X and Xbox One are great consoles because they are essentially the most powerful consoles of their generations. I mean, the Series X, from what I've heard, is supposedly slightly more powerful than the PS5, just slightly. And Xbox One X was the most powerful console of the 8th generation. So, with that, if that's all you care about, then yeah, those are obviously the best consoles to get to play games on, especially if you're interested in the games that are on those consoles and that are available on them. But for me, as someone who is a collector who is all about the physical media and game preservation, all that, the Xbox Series X and Xbox One, most if not all of these discs don't actually contain the games on them. No joke. Starting with the Xbox One, pretty much all, if not most, of the physical discs do not contain the 1.0 versions of the game. All they are, like all these discs are, is just licenses to download the games. Now, it is fair just to a certain extent because game file sizes are getting just bigger and bigger with each generation. Pretty much your average AAA experience on the Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and the PS5 and PS4, the vast majority of them are 50 gigabytes or somewhere around that ballpark. And some can even get around 100 gigabytes. So it's fair to assume that some of these games just cannot physically be fit on discs. But the thing is, that's not the case with the PS5 or PS4. They still have the 1.0 version of every game on the discs. Now, whether or not that 1.0 version is functional, yeah, that pretty much depends on the game itself. It pretty much varies at that point. A lot of times, you still have to install updates whenever you put these discs in. But the fact of the matter is, again, these do contain the games on them, whereas these do not. These are literally just licenses to download the games. The difference is that with this, at least, if I put the disc in, like several, maybe, I don't know, like 10, 20 years from now when the PS4 and PS5 have been discontinued, I can still at least download and put the disc in and play the game. Maybe it's still possible to download the updates at that point. I have no idea. Like, it just depends like what kind of discontinue we're talking about in the future. But these, once Microsoft is no longer supporting the Series X or Xbox One consoles, these are all waste. These are all nothing. There's literally nothing. They're literally just plastic discs with nothing on them, or whatever you call them. It's just that's my issue with these two consoles as a collector. I don't like these because these are not actually physical copies. These are just licenses. And at the end of the day, that makes them inferior to all other types of consoles that one can collect for. Again, that's not comparing like the quality of the games to the other consoles. I'm not saying that the Xbox Series X or Xbox One consoles are the worst consoles ever. I'm just saying from a standpoint of, as a collector, as someone who likes to collect physical media, yeah, these are the worst consoles to collect for. And in the future, I will not be collecting any more games for these consoles. So this is my final Xbox Series X, Xbox One library. Unless there's games where you cannot get them on any other console in the future, but that's just not the case with Xbox games. They tend to just come right to PC. So, again, what's the point? So, anyways, let's get into the actual games. So first up, we have Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the Xbox Series X. So this is one of those launch titles for the Series X and PlayStation 5. And as a collector, I was happy to have this because this is one of those games I picked up specifically because it was on the Xbox Series X. And so I figured, well, this is the best console version to play because it's the Series X is slightly more powerful than the PS5, which I also didn't have at the time. So, just all the different reasons to get it. But still to this day, I have not played this game. I haven't played any of the Assassin's Creed games I own yet. So that's going to be a common theme when you do see me mention Assassin's Creed games on this list. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. This was the big name Call of Duty game that released on the Series X and PS5, also as a launch title. It was probably the must-have game just because it was on the new consoles at the time. And again, Call of Duty, I've played one Call of Duty since then, and that was with friends. That was Warzone. It's one of the slightly older titles, I think, and it's just really good for multiplayer, I guess. But I'm not good at that game, so I'm probably not even going to try this game for a very long time. I remember being very excited to have this just on merit of having it, basically, and I even went as far as to install it on my Series X and was looking forward to playing it, but just never got around to it, and still to this day that hasn't changed yet, especially now knowing what I know about Call of Duty games, the fact that they release them every single year, and the quality is generally very questionable on these games, but given that's a yearly release. And it's kind of the same thing with the Assassin's Creed games. Next up, we have Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. The fact that there are video games based off D&D just blows my mind. A lot more than the fact that I've owned this game for a few years now and haven't played it once, and now I don't know why I picked it up, honestly. Elden Ring. This was the big game of 2022. Everyone and their grandmas was talking about this back then. This is pretty much the game that year will be known for. Before I even think about getting around to playing this, though, I'd rather try the other Dark Souls games to see if they would be a good fit for me. I don't think they would, honestly, but it's worth a try, obviously. So yeah, it's gonna be a while before I play this, but again, at the time that I bought it, I was glad to just have a copy on my hands, basically. Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. One of the most redundant names in gaming history. And it includes Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, which were very popular titles back on the PS2 and original Xbox. From my understanding, despite the fact that it is literally optimized for the most powerful console in the market currently, these games apparently still don't run as well, I guess, as they do on the frickin' PS2 and Xbox, which is insane. But that's just things I've heard. I haven't tried this, honestly. And this is probably, out of all the games I do have on the Series X, this is probably the one I'm most likely to try in the near future, because I've gained somewhat of a fascination towards the Grand Theft Auto games in recent times, but still haven't gone around to playing it quite yet. Halo Infinite. I remember being excited for this title when they announced it, because even though I had not gone into the Halo games yet, I was excited over the fact that finally, the Xbox Series X was going to have a game that was exclusive to it. Only to have it released on PC. Pretty much every single game in my Series X collection is available on PC or other platforms. And given the fact that I have a powerful PC of my own, there's really no point in me getting any more games for the Series X, as I've already mentioned in this video. Hot Wheels Unleashed. I've heard this is a decent racing game. Just heard, haven't tried it yet, but yeah, if anyone has tried any of the games that I am sharing in this video, definitely let me know what you think about them, because if people tell me that these games are really awesome and you should really play them, then that might actually get me to playing them more. And despite how I feel about games on the Series X, the fact that they're not really actually physical copies, I still might actually play a game if people tell me that's really good and that they actually and actually recommend it. So definitely tell me what you guys think of this game if you played it before. Immortals Phoenix Rising came just a little less than a month after the consoles were released, and I was actually interested to try this game. In fact, as a matter of fact, I actually did when I got it. And I played it. I played it for like a few hours at this point, and I will say, yeah, it definitely has a lot of Breath of the Wild vibes to it, and it's definitely very compelling. It's definitely very compelling. It's definitely a game that I would definitely put more time into if I felt like it. If that makes any sense, it's just like I want to get more into this game, but then I find myself wanting to play other games more. Basically, this game is definitely gonna stick in the back of my mind. Basically, as one of those games where it's like, oh, I think I'll go back to this someday at some point. So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting game to get into. Sort of, it's like Breath of the Wild, except instead of hearing Zelda's voice nagging in your head all day, it's more a humorous dialogue between Zeus and Prometheus, I think it was, like just basically two Greek gods kind of having banter between each other, and it's actually kind of humorous. I'd almost say I would actually prefer that over Zelda's voice. Basically, I mean, like her voice is not that annoying, basically, but still, it's just kind of the same idea, sort of. Next up, we have, I think, the first game on my list that's not available on PC. This is actually only available on consoles, but again, pretty sure it's on PS5 and maybe Nintendo Switch as well. Monster Energy Supercross 4, the official video game. So, yeah, it's just a Supercross game sponsored by Monster Energy, basically. That's all I know about it, and it apparently includes DLC in this code. There's a DLC code included, which I obviously haven't used it yet because I haven't even put the game in for the first time yet, but it's there. So, and it even has online multiplayer, so maybe I'll try this at some point with friends. I don't know. Just kind of an interesting game that looked interesting to me, so I bought it. So why not? And it was probably also fairly cheap when I saw it in stores. I'm not sure. Nickelodeon AllStar Brawl. This is one of those games that I purchased back when it first came out, just because it was kind of a fad, sort of, when it was released. But I will say, out of all the Smash Bros. Clones out there, this one probably has actually a lot of promise or potential to it, sort of. And it even apparently got there's even been a sequel released since then. So but when I first played this was back before, I think, because I think at some point they finally added voice acting to it. Because when I first played this, like back when it first came out, there was no voice acting for the characters. At least as far as there wasn't any voice acting for the characters. So it felt because of that, it felt very soulless, sort of. I think that's really what it was missing, was just the characters acting like the characters, basically. So, because if you don't have the characters acting like the characters, then it just feels like a soulless cash grab, basically. It just needs to have character to it, sort of, to actually make me want to play it. So, that's probably one of those things that we kind of take for granted in the Smash Bros. Games, is that the characters, they actually act like themselves, so I wonder what Smash Bros. Would be like, or people would still be interested in it if the characters didn't have any voice acting, like if it was just the announcer, like the only voice that we heard, and if the characters didn't have any of their unique quirks to them. I guess, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but you sort of get the idea, right? Planet Coaster Console Edition. This was one of the first games. In fact, it might have been the first game. I don't remember if it was the first game I purchased for my Xbox Series X. But I do know this was the first Xbox Series X game that I played. And it was for a short time. I did like the tutorial level, basically. And it was then that I realized I would rather play this on PC, because the controls just don't really lend themselves to a control pad. That's the kind of, like, these sim games just seem to work better with a mouse and keyboard, basically, than playing on console. So I'd rather play this on PC. So no jab at the game itself, because I heard Planet Coaster is really awesome, and it's a nice successor. It's an actual, it feels like an actual spiritual successor to the Roller Coaster Tycoon games, which I was a big fan of back in the day, and I really used to love playing. So yeah, this is not the game's fault. It's just the fact that I'd rather play this on PC than on console. Poyo Tetris 2. So it might surprise you to know that I don't have the original Poyo Tetris, which was, I think it was a timed exclusive on Switch. I'm not sure. But either way, I don't have that, so I didn't try that, and I have not tried this one yet. But like, if I was going through and playing games on my Series X, this is one of those games I'd be really interested in trying, because from what I've heard, Poyo and Tetris are really great games. Actually, like a lot of fun for those who are familiar with the two puzzle games. I'm not familiar with Poyo itself, so that would be a new experience. Although I think I get the I think I kind of understand like how it works though. So it's it's very similar to Tetris in some ways, or Dr. Mario. But either way, I look forward to giving this a try whenever I get around to it. Okay, so this is the last of the games I have that is specifically optimized for the Xbox Series X. Sonic Frontiers, the open world Breath of the Wild Sonic that I guess Sonic fans have been waiting for. At least as close to an open world Sonic game as we've ever been, basically. I haven't tried this yet. I'm not really much of a big Sonic fan, but I do collect the game just so that I'll be ready whenever I do get around to actually getting into the Sonic games. So whenever I do, I'll have this, or I'll probably just get it on PC instead. Because out of every single game I've shared with you, every single one, none of these are exclusive to the Xbox Series X. None of these are. So really, there's just no reason to buy a Series X. There really isn't. If the reasons I mentioned in the beginning of this video are enough, like, none of these games I have are exclusive to the Series X. Even if there was a game that was exclusive for Series X, it isn't for long, because eventually they just release it on PC. Or technically it's optimized for the Xbox One X, which is basically not much less powerful than the Series X. It's basically the same console as I mentioned before as well. So really, it's kind of pointless for me to have a Series X. I just have no reason to turn it on. I have no reason to put any games into it. There's just no reason for me to play it, because unless like at some point I want to play these games and I don't have them on PC, I don't want to buy the PC version, then yeah, I guess that'd be a good reason to turn on then. But like, otherwise, I just don't really feel like collecting games for that reason, because there's nothing exclusive for it. If I have the money and I don't have the game already, I'm just gonna get on PC. And if I could go back and undo anything, it'd be buying these games, because I would have just bought them on PC. So I don't know, folks. Anyways, moving on to Xbox One now. Alright, moving on to Xbox One, we have Ark Survival Evolved. I don't really know much about this series at all. I'm assuming it's just survival games in which apparently there's dinosaurs. I can tell from the art, but that's about it. So maybe it's like Turok kinda. Maybe it takes inspiration from Turok. I don't know for sure. So that should tell you right there how little I know about these games. So there's that. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Just like I said with Valhalla, I don't know much about the Assassin's Creed games. I'm just collecting them for now. It's kind of like the Sonic games, just kind of collecting them for now, and then eventually when I actually do get around to playing them, I'll have them all in my collection. Next up, Battlefield 1. I don't know much about the Battlefield games. I do have one friend who is a big fan of these games. So I usually ask her if I want to know anything about them. Actually, I think two of my close friends are big fans of the Battlefield series. But yeah, I don't know about anything about these. One other thing I want to say is like how big these freaking games are. It would be literally impossible for me to have my entire library installed onto one console. I'd have to have like a bunch of SSDs or data or HDDs or whatever stowed somewhere with all the games copied onto them, unless I want to, just wait until I play the game to until I'm ready to play the game to install the game. But like, what if that takes several years and at that point the service is shut down? How will I do that if all I have is just this license, which isn't even the full 1.0 copy of the game on the disc to play it? And some of these games are online only as well, so with that you can't really do anything about that. But like, still, just the fact that you don't have the 1.0 version of the games on here, so what if I need to install them like in a much later date? It's like, it's just just the fact that the games are so large is just another big problem here. Biomutants. So what got me interested in this game and enough to purchase it and to have a copy laying around in case I want to play it at some point is the fact that it was published by THQ Nordic, and in general I kind of want to support THQ Nordic just in the fact that they they are THQ, and THQ is a big part of our childhood, but at the same time, I guess it's just a publisher. They're just there for the money, so I guess you should also consider that as well. And they're not the developers. So I don't know how much of a hand they actually have in the game development process. But either way, I still, I was still interested in it just by the publishers basically. But I don't know too much about the game itself, and it's another thing I should really try, basically. Cars 3, Driven to Win. This is the first game I have mentioned in this video that is not available on PC. It's available on all the other consoles, but not PC. Well, this is back in 2017, so it's not on the PS5 or Xbox Series X I'm aware of, but it's on the Xbox One, the PS4, the Nintendo Switch, and the Wii U, which I also have. I also have it on Wii U. So again, why would I get this on the Xbox One when it's not even the full game, which I don't think it is? This game is 21 gigabytes. They definitely could have fitted on the whole disc. They probably didn't, but still, this, for all I know, this is not even the full copy of the game. Like it's, I think this might be one of those few cases where they do have the full game on the disc. I'm not sure, because this game is only 21 gigabytes is still ridiculous, because that's around the size of Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U, and that's the biggest game on that console. And I'm pretty sure Cars 3 is significantly smaller than that. So somehow they condensed it on the Wii U and made it smaller. But on here, I'm guessing. Well, it might be because it's on a more powerful console, so they probably have more features packed in. So I don't know. Either way, this might be actually a legit game to get on the Xbox One, but still, you can get it on other consoles. So it's hard to justify it still, even the fact that it's not on PC. And that's not even getting to the quality of the game, which I'm not sure of because I never played that game yet. Okay, next up we have Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the special edition. Although I'm pretty sure that's what they call it on the PS4 and Xbox One. So yeah, Skyrim. This version was released in 2016 on the Xbox One. At that point, it was already a 5-year-old game, so it's no wonder. But it's still cool that they brought it onto the 8th-gen consoles, obviously, because otherwise it would have been locked on the 7th-gen consoles. But still, yeah, this is a game that you can play basically anywhere. So once again, it's definitely not an Xbox One exclusive. But I'm sure it's a great console to play it on. You'll probably get the best performance. Who knows? But then again, it's on PCs, so I would just play it on my PC because my PC is more powerful. But if you don't have a powerful PC, then I guess this might be a fine way to get it. Next up, we have Fallout 4, which includes an Xbox 360 copy, or like a copy of Fallout 3 on Xbox 360 on the disc as well. Maybe it just installs the 360 game separately if you it downloads it from the internet or something. But yeah, Fallout 4. I've heard good things about these games, but haven't gone into them. So once again, this is another case of Assassin's Creed, so just collect the games and play them later. Fallout 76. I got this game sealed for $5 when I purchased it at the time. At least $5, $4.99 right there on the label still. I got this at the Pad apparently, which is in Appleton. But yeah, it's a sealed copy for $5 is not a good sign. But I will say that I've heard with with all the updates that this game has received, updates and patches and DLC or whatever you call it, it's received over the past few years, it's actually gotten better. It's become more of an actual game, possibly worth getting. Who knows? But I haven't heard too many people talk about it recently, so it might just be because people just the initial dumpster fire has settled, and now people just see it as just a game. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's just not overhyped as it used to be. It's hard to say. Next up, we have Final Fantasy 15, the deluxe edition with a cool little sleeve to come with it, and it's a steelbook too. So, yeah, I saw it in the store. It looked cool, and I thought, hey, this is on Xbox One, so it's gotta be the definitive way to play this game, right? Well, we'll see, but I'm pretty sure it's on PC as well. So you're probably gonna have a more definitive experience there because you can actually you actually have access to mods that way. So why not play it that way if you have the ability to? Next up, we have Gang Beasts on the Xbox One. The only reason I bought this game is because it was super cheap at my store, the Walmart that I used to work at. It was on clearance for like $2 or $3 or something like that, so that's why I picked it up. That's the only reason why. But hey, it's got online multiplayer, so maybe it might be an interesting game to try with friends. Next up, we have Gears of War 4. Gears of War is an Xbox exclusive franchise that is, except for the fact that most of the games are available on PC, at least as far as I know, most of the games. I do know, I'm pretty sure this one is. So you might as well get it on PC if you have a more powerful PC. But if you have just an Xbox One, then yeah, I guess you could pick up this game. But I don't know anything about Gears of War games. I haven't played them yet, so that's all I can say on that. Next up, we have Halo: The Master Chief Collection on Xbox One. I'm pretty sure this is on PC. I'm pretty certain it is on PC. So yeah, again, there's no point in me having this copy, but for what it's worth, this is probably a good way to get into the Halo franchise whenever I get around to it. Next up, we have the very first actual exclusive on the Xbox One. This banner is no lie. So this is Halo 5 Guardians. Again, this is the first game I've shown today so far that is actually exclusive to the console. This game is a reason to get an Xbox One or an Xbox Series X, because you can play Xbox One games on the Series X. But yeah, this is one of those few cases on the Xbox One where it's actually a reason to get the console. So yeah, to its credit, this was actually a purchase worth getting, basically. Next up, we have Little Nightmares, the deluxe edition, the Little Nightmares, the complete edition. This is available on pretty much every platform out there. PCs, pretty sure it's on PlayStation, Switch as well. Yeah, I picked this up just because the game looks so interesting, basically. And that's kind of the case with a lot of games I have that I haven't played yet, that's in my collection. Either I picked it up just because it's filler, or just because it looks interesting. It's like, oh, actually, I'd be interested to try this out one day, like if I just have nothing to do one day. So this is just one of those rainy day kind of games, basically. So, yeah, looking forward to giving this a try. Next up, we have The Outer Worlds. I don't know much about this game, other than the fact that I guess you get to travel to other planets, which is an interesting concept on its own. Makes for an interesting game to try out. So, yeah, I'll definitely try this out at some point, but yeah, I just don't know anything about it than that. Next up, we have Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. I'm a big fan of the original Plants vs. Zombies game. I played quite a bit of the Plants vs. Zombies 2. But basically, this is a third-person shooter take on the Plants vs. Zombies games. And apparently it was successful because there was a sequel. I don't have that on Xbox One, but I just have the original, which is obviously, assuming this is still available. I don't know if this game is still online or not, like if they shut it down or not. But if it is, then probably won't be for long because they have the sequel now. Okay, next up, we have the second and only other Xbox One exclusive that I have, and that is Rare Replay. This right here, if anything, would be the only reason I would get an Xbox One, if nothing else, because I freaking love Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, and, the idea of being able to try all these other games in one collection is pretty freaking awesome. So this to me is one of the best games on the Xbox One, the compilation of 30 Rare games, all classics. But here's what kind of holds this collection back, is the fact that you still have to download stuff. Like, it doesn't have the full game. It doesn't have all the games on the disc. It doesn't have Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, and all those other Xbox 360 games. Those are installed separately, and those are like basically downloaded and installed separately onto the console, basically. But there's a bunch of other games on here that are actually on the disc. So, like, if one day Microsoft were to shut down the service, basically, you'd have all the games except for Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, like, basically all the Xbox 360 titles, because there's Perfect Dark, I think. Perfect Dark or Perfect Dark Zero or something like that. One of those is on the Xbox 360. So, yeah, all those 360 titles, as well as, I think Viva Pinata is another one. Viva Pinata, Trouble in Paradise. Yeah, all those games, basically, those 360 games, these will not be included on the disc itself. Those are installed separately, so yeah, just kind of bummer there. And also, just a fun little thing, I also have this compilation disc, which has Rare Replay and Gears of War Ultimate Edition. I don't know if this is Xbox One exclusive, but obviously the disc itself would be Xbox One exclusive, and also it's still sealed, still factory sealed for. I might keep it that way until I get around to playing it, or until I have to sell it, or whatever the case may be. So this will at least increase the value if it's still sealed. So, Next up, we have Red Dead Redemption. The original Red Dead Redemption is, to this day, not available on PC. It's only available on consoles. It was mainly on 360 and PS3, but it was also made playable on the Xbox One, I guess in 2015 or 2016 or something like that. And then just last year, it was ported to the Nintendo Switch and the PS4. But to this day, it is still not on PC. So this is one way to play it, I suppose. But as far as I know, just by me putting this into my Xbox One, it's really just playing a 360 game basically. It's not. I'm pretty sure this is not actually optimized for the Xbox One. They just made it playable on the Xbox One. It's hard to say. With a lot of games, it's hard to say what console it's actually for. Like what game is it or what console is it optimized for? Because they try to make them playable on every console, which is good. That's a very good thing. But it comes with the caveat of like for us collectors, like what do I categorize this in? So I don't really have a lot of examples like that, but like I've seen them in Scott the Waz videos because I watch his content. Next up, we have Red Dead Redemption 2, which is available on PC. So I much rather play it on there, honestly, because I'm pretty sure I could get improved frame rate. Maybe I'm not 100% sure if it's enabled on the PC version, but yeah, I'm more likely to play that version than I am to play this version. But this is not a bad version to play, obviously, if you don't have a very powerful PC, especially if you have an Xbox One X like me. So, yeah, it is what it is. Just as a side note, though, I have not played the Red Dead Redemption games, so definitely tell me what you think of those games if you've played them before. Next up, we have Scribbleknot Showdown. This is not on PC. This is the last game on my list for Xbox One that isn't also on PC. So yeah, you'd have to get this on console, but it's on every other console that I know. I'm pretty sure it's on Switch and PS4 as well. Or no, I don't. It's not on Wii U. I don't think it's on Wii U. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's not because I don't have it. And if I don't have it, then it's likely not on Wii U. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is on PS4 and Switch as well, so you could play it there as well. So yeah. Next up, we have Sonic Colors Ultimate. I don't know what state this game is in now, but the 1.0 version of this game was freaking awful when it first came out. It had so many bugs and glitches. It was all over gaming news basically, like all the things wrong with it and how I'm pretty sure made people just want to play the original 2010 Wii version. So I'm pretty sure this is probably a better experience now than it was then with the updates, but yeah, otherwise I have nothing else to say about it because I haven't gone much into Sonic games yet. But I do know that this one back in the day on the Wii was pretty good actually. Next up, we have SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. So fun fact, I think this was the first Xbox One game I picked up. I'm pretty sure of that because at the time I was collecting every single SpongeBob game, and that includes copies on the consoles that I don't own yet. So, in fact, I have SpongeBob the Avenger on PSP, even though I don't have a PSP yet. So that should tell you. But yeah, at the time that this came out, it was June 2020, I'm pretty sure. So I didn't even have my Xbox Series X yet. I didn't have any Xbox consoles except maybe. Well, actually, no, I had the original Xbox at that time, and yeah, that was it. So I didn't have any way to play this at the time I got it. So I played the game first on Switch and then on PS4, and then I eventually got my Series X and played it on theirs because I didn't have a good PC until the following year. So if you don't have a powerful PC like me, then I would say Xbox One is probably the definitive way to play this game. But nowadays I have my powerful PC, so I would just play it on PC over this. But as far as I know, this game is not very demanding. It's available in 4K, so I'm pretty sure that would be demanding. Basically, it could run at 4K 60, maybe on PC, but I'm pretty sure on console it would just be 4K 30, basically. So yeah, I would definitely recommend playing this on PC, especially if you care about performance and want that and the resolution at the same time. Next up, we have I think the most recent game I got in my collection on Xbox One. I'm pretty sure. SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake. I have not played this one yet. This is the newest and latest SpongeBob game as of me recording this video. We don't know when or if there will be another SpongeBob game after this. So, yeah, I haven't played it yet. I'm thinking of doing it blind for a Let's Play. It's hard to say. Like at the end of my SpongeBob LP marathon, which I still have going on, and it's now on hiatus again until I get around to getting back to Battle for Bikini Bottom on Game Boy Advance. But yeah, this would basically be at the end of the end of the marathon. I don't know if I would be doing it blind or not. It's hard to say at this point. Spyro Reignite Trilogy. This was a huge deal when it came out back in 2018, and I still haven't gone around to it yet. I did play through a lot of Spyro 1 on here on my Xbox One X, but otherwise I haven't played much of this collection yet. Because what I really have a hard time with is because I haven't played through the original Spyro 2 or 3 yet on the original PS1. And what I struggle with is whether I should play the originals first and then play the remake second, or if I should just play the remake first and then go back and play it the original way more. Because I don't know, I just feel like it would be easier to appreciate the original version if I play the original version first. But at the same time, it's kind of forcing myself to do it that way, so it kind of kills the enjoyment of it. It's a very difficult dilemma when it comes to playing the remake versus the original. So yeah, what can you do? Next up we have Super Lucky's Tale. I'm pretty sure this was the Xbox equivalent to New Super Mario Bros. Basically, they need a cute, kitty platformer basically, so this is what they got essentially on the Xbox. And at one point I think it was exclusive to Xbox One, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I'm pretty sure this game is now on Switch and PS and PlayStation and so on and so forth. So yeah, not really any reason. Well, it even says Xbox One exclusive on here, but I'm pretty sure it was only a timed exclusive, so I don't know. I might have to check the Wikipedia again to know for sure. Alright, next up we have Titanfall. I think Titanfall is another Xbox exclusive franchise. Otherwise, I don't know anything else about that. But it says crafted by the key developers behind the Call of Duty franchise, so that's all I know basically. Yeah, really not much I can say on this franchise because I don't know anything about it. Rise of the Tomb Raider. This is another franchise that I've heard of but haven't played any of yet. I'd rather go back and play the original PS1 games first before moving on to newer games, especially if I really got into the franchise from playing the older ones. So, but either way, I got 2 Tomb Raider games on Xbox One. So the other one is Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the Definitive Edition as it's called. But to me, if it doesn't have the actual 1.0 version of the game on the disc, then it's not actually the Definitive Edition. Then you might as well just play it on the PC at that point. Just download it from Steam. So as far as I know, this is on PC, so you might as well get it there. Why would you get it on Xbox if you have a powerful PC? Next up we have Watch Dogs 2. I was not in a hurry to get the original Watch Dogs on Xbox One, or anywhere else for that matter, because I already have it on Wii U, but I imagine that Wii U is probably not the best way to play the original Watch Dogs. But yeah, I don't know much about Watch Dogs other than the fact that it's kind of like GTA, except for the fact there's more emphasis on like hacking things with a phone basically. That's what I know about the franchise so far. Otherwise, I've never played the 2 games, but with them being open world, it kind of makes them enticing to try out, basically. Next up, we have The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt. Please tell me about your experiences with this game, because I don't know anything about it other than it's an open world adventure, and people praise this game to high heaven, basically. So I'm curious to hear about people's experiences with this game before I play it and experience it for myself. But I do know that most people will tell me this is a masterpiece, basically worth playing. So please tell me about it. Next up we have Ukulele on Xbox One. Now this was heavily hyped back in its heyday. Basically as a Banjo-Kazooie spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie. And I played a little bit of it on PS4 back in the day, but I wasn't really that impressed. I was still in the first world, I think, when I stopped playing. I did get through a fair chunk of the first world, at least. So I got a little bit of experience with it, but yeah, I wasn't really that impressed with it, to be honest. But again, I could go back and give it another try one day. And lastly, we have Zoo Tycoon Xbox One Edition. From what I can tell, this version. So Zoo Tycoon is available on 360 and Xbox One, and supposedly there's quite a few differences between the 360 and the One version. So it'll be interesting to see what those are whenever I get around to playing it. But to be honest, nothing can top the original Zoo Tycoon games on PC. Nothing can top those. So I probably won't be in a hurry to play these for quite a while because I'd rather just go back and play. Like, you cannot top Zoo Tycoon 1, 2. Like the original early 2000s games for me. You just can't, no matter how good these are.